Especially for racing simulation fans, the PS4 and PS5 offer an excellent selection of games. However, that doesn't mean there aren't arcade racing games on consoles. That's why I'm here to show you the best racing games for PS4 and PS5. You really cannot make a racing games list without including a Need for Speed title. The series is an absolute classic and has come up with so many legendary titles, such as NFS Underground or Most Wanted, that it would be a crime to miss out on its latest installment, Need for Speed Unbound. The newest NFS game really is a journey back to the roots of the series. It features a sprawling open world with a multitude of races to take part in and a plethora of amazing cars that you can tune up and customize to your heart's content. Building on that, the driving itself is also excellent, providing a fun, arcade-y experience that you're sure to enjoy whether you're using a controller or a steering wheel to get your vehicle moving. Gran Turismo 7 is the best racing game on PS5. This is a racer that oozes passion for automobiles and for the tracks you'll race on. With a DualSense in hand or a magnificent rig setup, we don't know that any game can really compete with just how much love there is in every chicane, in every spoke of a wheel, or along every straight. Our Gran Turismo 7 review covers a lot of the incredible technical driving aspects in depth, but the general gist of it is that there are fewer more pleasurable racing experiences that feel so grounded by intelligible simulations of small details. Polyphony Digital's game got off to a rough start with its live service components and limited online functionality, but we feel it has recovered enough to earn its place at the top of this list. The Gran Turismo 7 trophies are a long quest, but not one that will go without you getting significantly better at the game as you spend time perfecting your cornering speeds, throttle control, and track positioning. GT7 is a sim racer, but don't let that put you off. It's got arcade-like addictiveness too. This is the most pristine PS5 racer around, so get your tires on the perfectly rendered track. The Grid series is a relatively new one when compared to some of its peers, but it's quickly established itself as one of the genre's heaviest hitters. Each new title has continued to build upon the excellent foundations laid by race driver Grid, with Grid Legends being the latest game to do so. Released in early 2022, the game boasts more than 130 tracks, including a number of real-world circuits. There are over 100 vehicles too, ranging from top-of-the-line drift cars to more rugged off-road vehicles. There's also a story-focused career mode, which should appeal to those looking to sink some serious time into their driving. Wreckfest begs to deceive on PS5. It's an arcade racer in its gorgeous looks, but we think it actually has more of a simcade feel. The simulation components, like the vehicle destruction, handling model, and braking patterns, are matched by the arcade insanity of driving a genuine harvester around a loop-the-loop. With this combination of car game subgenres, Bugbear made one of the best racers on PS5 despite its original release on PS4. Just watch out for cross-save Wreckfest trophies issues. Why do we rate it so highly, then? Well, the handling model is superb. Wreckfest is easily approachable but with depth enough to make it serious when needed. The destruction modeling is glorious. You will have quite a few "where are my rear tires" moments, while also altering the way you drive before and after crashing. The tracks are original and varied, with plenty of tight hairpins and chicanes matched by ramps, both planned and made impromptu out of car corpses, and banked corners that rain the mettle of your rivals. The car selection is varied, with customization that is not just for aesthetics but actually affects performance under the hood as well. Also, the online community is fantastic. Really, Wreckfest is one of the best racers of its kind in recent years. There are a few strong options on PS5 for rally fans, but if you're looking for the genuine article, WRC10 is where it's at. This is the latest officially licensed rally racer, featuring the courses, cars, and drivers you recognize from the real motorsport. Importantly, though, the game itself is rollicking good fun. It really captures the danger and thrill of screaming through narrow tracks, always a hair's breadth from disaster. An in-depth career mode will keep you going for a long time, and it's supplemented with single rallies, online play, and historical events. Excellent support of DualSense features is the cherry on top of a very tasty, messy cake. For whatever reason, Nintendo seems to be reluctant to revive the F-Zero series, and Sony hasn't done much with Wipeout over the past decade or so either. As such, There is a gaping hole in the market for futuristic high-octane racers, and it's one that the Redout games are doing their darndest to try and fill. Sadly, neither Redout 2 nor its predecessor are anywhere near the same level as those aforementioned series were back in their respective heydays, but that's not to say that they're not still enjoyable. The visuals are solid enough, as too are the driving mechanics, helping to earn them the title of next best thing. The all-new official game of the FIA World Rally Championship has witnessed development switch from Parisian team Kiloton, KT Racing, to Codemasters Southam Studio, not to be confused with the Birmingham-based team working on the F1 titles. EA Sports WRC isn't a derivation of those single-seater games either, surprisingly eschewing the venerable Ego game engine technology and instead using Unreal Engine. A first for the company, the switch has allowed for significantly larger stage layouts. They can be over double the length of the studio's previous stage rally release, where it's just you against the clock, Dirt Rally 2.0. There's also greater quantity and diversity in design, this platform's strength alongside community clubs. Destruction Allstars has nowhere near enough content to justify being a full-price release. Thankfully, it was given away for free through PlayStation Plus for the first 2 months following its release and was made available for just $20 after that. At this price, it becomes a fairly interesting proposition, even more so if players are able to get it cheaper in a sale. In spite of the aforementioned lack of content, the experience on offer in Destruction All-Stars can be a lot of fun. The driving mechanics are pretty easy to pick up and the crashes can be brutal, which should appeal to younger players. Those seeking depth and rewarding progression will almost certainly come away disappointed, but anyone looking for some mindless fun can definitely find that here. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered revives the Criterion-developed Cops and Robbers racer on PS4, and it's more than welcome. Though the visuals aren't the greatest nowadays, the gameplay holds up wonderfully. It's an arcade racing title through and through. High speeds, epic drifts around sweeping corners, and slow-mo crash cams make this more akin to Burnout than NFS. Still, it's a slick and highly entertaining game, whether you're chasing down racers and deploying spike strips, or running away from the police with evasive action. The autolog system that constantly pits you against your friends is the cherry on top. Assetto Corsa Competizione is the sim racer on PS5 that toppled Gran Turismo 7 for the FIA esports competitions in the GT categories. You know what? It deserves it, too. Speak to most sim racer fans and they will recommend this fiendishly detailed racer as the one to get your competitive spirit out with. That is particularly interesting because it wasn't critically well received, partially due to its comically newcomer-unfriendly aspects and its pretty limited single-player. On PS5, it doesn't quite manage to hit the same way as on PC thanks to the community and freedom that version offers. However, on PS5 it remains arguably the best fully immersive driving experience for those with a sim rig. Get in the seat of the leading sim racer on the console market, though just be wary of those tedious Assetto Corsa Competizione trophies that are also notoriously quite broken. Don't let that distract you, though. If you are a hardcore racing game fan, this is the car game for you. The Crew 2 has a lot going for it. Its main party trick is the ability to swap between planes, boats, and cars at basically any point, but its open world is an achievement in itself, a scaled-down version of the United States. You can freely roam this enormous environment, gradually unlocking new vehicles and engaging in all sorts of online multiplayer modes and events. The best bit is that it's still receiving updates today, years after launch. The team over at Codemasters has had a hand in many of the best racing games of all time. In truth, F1 23 is by far the studio's finest work, but for fans of Formula 1 racing, it is still something of a must-play game, offering up numerous improvements over its predecessor and, ultimately, one of the most complete F1 video games to date. Breaking Point returns and is better than ever, with a story and writing that put some modern action-adventure games to shame. The game looks beautiful too, and the engine has been perfectly tuned. Content-wise, there's more than enough to keep players busy for hours on end, and thus justify the cost of upgrading from the previous year's edition. The PS4 hasn't had many good arcade racers throughout its lifespan, so the arrival of Team Sonic Racing is a pleasant surprise. Like Onrush, this kart racer puts an emphasis on teamwork, but it keeps the cooperation locked to regular races. The collaborative aspects are pretty successful, and even if you don't like the idea, You can play the game as a standard kart racer too. It's not the most fleshed out racing game on PS4, but the on-track action is undeniably a lot of fun. The Dirt series has come a long way since its Colin McRae rally days, with very few major bumps in the road. As far as rally games go, not many franchises are able to match it, and Dirt 5 is very much a case of more of the same. Granted, some may prefer WRC10, but for those who favor fun over realism, the incredible arcade-style racing on offer in Dirt 5 is difficult to ignore. One of the areas where the game really excels is through its use of haptic feedback and the DualSense adaptive triggers. The sound mixing is on point too, helping players to feel as though they really are sat in the driver's seat. Like all of the best PS5 racing sims, it's best enjoyed with a wheel and pedals rather than a controller, but players will still find plenty of fun with the latter. It's not great when someone uses the word fine to describe something, but we can't think of anything more suitable for the Crew Motorfest. Its Hawaii setting is beautiful and vibrant while toning down the trademark scale overload of using the entire United States as a map from the Crew 2. The cars look and sound good. The racing is strong with a much improved handling model over the first two games. You've still got the weird inclusions of boats and planes, something that still feels like an afterthought to me, but with the smaller scale, you'll not have to deal with them that much. But make no mistake by my use of the word, fine does not equal bad or even mediocre. Everything the Crew Motorfest does helps appease the little voice inside every car game fan's head that demands a little slice of arcade racing goodness. Every year you'll get car thrills in a gorgeous environment while collecting the Crew Motorfest trophies and enjoy building out an Aston Martin V8 Vantage S from a fun selection of vehicles. The MotoGP series has had its fair share of ups and downs over the years. In truth, MotoGP 23 is far from the franchise's best installment when everything is taken into account, though it is one of the best racing games on the PlayStation 5 thanks in large to its excellent career mode and stunning visuals. In these areas, the game offers one of the most realistic MotoGP experiences to date, with players having to worry about things like social media and their relationships with other riders. The weather effects are simply gorgeous too and more than make up for the adverse racing conditions that they usually bring along with them. It's easy to be dismissive of LEGO 2K Drive. It feels a little light, it's got a bunch of tacked-on live service nonsense, and the driving doesn't have that same visceral kick that you get from some of the bigger games on this list. However, don't shoo it away too quickly, as there is actually a great deal of novel and cool things happening in this fluffy little racer. Bashing through LEGO objects to create shortcuts for yourself and using a wide array of power-ups to secure your lead makes for a frantic time that feels perfect for anyone who wants something a little lighter from their racing games. It's a blast in multiplayer, but the single-player missions have their charms too. Building on the brilliant hardcore experience introduced in the first Dirt Rally, the sequel is another tough but excellent sim racer from Codemasters. The handling is unforgiving at first, but it's wonderfully gratifying to master, and the sensation of driving at insane speeds through treacherous rally routes is thrilling. The inclusion of Rallycross adds some variety to the mix, and a few small refinements to the gameplay make this an essential purchase for rally fans. Burnout Paradise is one of the greatest racers ever, on any platform, and now you can play it on PS5 thanks to backward compatibility with the PS4 remaster of the PS3 era game. Criterion took its formula for Burnout's legendary lap-based PS2 arcade racers and made the chaotic racing open world, wholly succeeding in the process. Welcome to Paradise City, where the grass is green and the cars are being T-boned at every intersection. Please call an ambulance. The world is a magnificent playground brought right up to modern graphical speed in Burnout Paradise Remastered for PS4, abounding with mega ramps, shortcuts, smashable items, and secret areas full of fun. The game thrives at high speed during violent races and enthralling exploration, with every crash deserving of a slow-mo replay. There are very few games that offer this level of laugh-out-loud fun with your mechanical beasts, and it helps that the soundtrack is straight-up iconic. Online, everything gets heightened tenfold. It's worth a go just for the challenges you can face with strangers. In single-player, this racer shows its miles, but the moments where you have to chase rival cars around the city are still bombastic entertainment. This indie arcade racing title might not look like much, but it's a surprisingly good little game with acres of content. Inspired by 90s racers like Top Gear and Outrun, the game features hundreds of races, have plenty of unlockable cars to use and upgrade, and a handful of modes to master. What's more, you can play it all in split-screen local multiplayer. Horizon Chase Turbo is a slick, addictive, ultra-fast racer that punches above its weight. Our 10th place slot caused consternation among the news team and me, and we still don't know if it is quite right. Wipeout Omega Collection on PS4, playable on PS5 through backward compatibility, has won the spot on our best racing games on PS5 list primarily for its heart-pumping, stylish, anti-gravity fun. While we do love Trackmania Turbo, Project Cars 2, and Onrush, none of them match Wipeout's arcadey purity. Art of Rally is a charmingly accessible entry point into the sport of rallying. If EA Sports WRC is a little too intimidating with its pace notes and simulation-targeted handling, Fun Selector's indie darling ditches the directions and serious pretense. Except breaking down Dunkasu's tribute to nostalgic YouTube rally videos to a candy bar is perhaps a disservice. Every element has been crafted to be a fitting tribute to the real-world sport, from the fake sponsor hoardings to the distinctive location design. The cars are the real star though, loving crafted facsimiles of some of the most obscure vehicles from the sport's history. Those Trackmania Turbo trophies are hard, so hard, but they are well worth your time. I've decided to recommend Trackmania Turbo over its free-to-play brethren on PS5, simply because this 2016 version doesn't have all the horrific monetization models attached to it. Instead, you can jump in right away and start your hopelessly addicting journey through short courses as you drift, twist, and roll while trimming minuscule denominations of milliseconds off of your laps to slowly push for gold medals. Seriously, this stuff is some of the most gratifying arcade action you can get. Trackmania Turbo handles using tight arcadey controls and has an active and vibrant community full of tracks for you to play. You can build your own as easily as playing with Legos and share them with other players, too. Honestly, this is just a rock-solid arcade racer without any unneeded bells and whistles. Need for Speed Heat brings the series back on track after a couple of troubled outings on PS4. By day, you'll be taking part in sanctioned races throughout Palm City. By night, you turn to illegal street racing to build your rep, but this will attract the attention of the brutal police force. Balancing these two sides of the game is its main strength, but it's overall a fun open-world arcade racer with great customization and lots of cars to choose from. It's not perfect, but this is still the best Need for Speed in a good while. A turn up for the books, and one for fans of the American racing series, World of Outlaws. Dirt racing by rights shouldn't be this good. Monster Games splintered off from Motorsport Games over 3 years ago and promptly produced 2 eponymous Tony Stewart stock car games based on the ramshackle Unity underpinnings of the NASCAR Heat titles. It then moved on to SRX, the game, before being purchased by iRacing in early 2022. It is under this stewardship that improved AI performance and physics were implemented, and when the official Woo game launched within the same year, we were pleasantly surprised by its branching career and satisfying detailed driving experience. You can notice grip changes on different lines, and the top-class vehicles are unruly beasts. Think about getting the kid out and drifting through those Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 turbocharged trophies, won't you? This fast sequel to the immensely popular first game is certainly better than its predecessor, though it reminds us of PS2-era sequels made on a quick turnaround. It's incremental, adding jumping to the Hot Wheels Unleashed formula of racing die-cast car models of all shapes and sizes around twisting, turning orange tracks. It's certainly not revolutionary, but it is the perfect evolution. So, while it has the charm of the first game with the creativity of the track creation tools, as well as the fun of racing around massive rooms from a tiny perspective, it has similar problems to the first game. I still find the actual handling model a bit empty and stale. The microtransaction model is hauntingly present at all times. It may not be the franchise's most groundbreaking installment and its name may be a bit of a mouthful, but Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 6, remains one of the best PS5 racing games around. Much like in previous iterations, the controls may take a little bit of getting used to, but they're incredibly responsive and allow players to really show off their mastery of the sport when it comes to taking tight corners and passing other racers. The overall experience on offer feels a lot more balanced than some of those which came before it, and the AI and collision mechanics are also much improved. For more casual players, whether or not all of this is worth the cost of admission or the cost of upgrading from an earlier Monster Energy Supercross title is debatable, but it's definitely a must-play for fans of the sport. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is a superb kart racer and the best arcade racer in the last few years, playable on PS5 via PS4 backward compatibility. Even if the aesthetic doesn't appeal to you, though, just look at how cohesive and glorious that art style is. It is so filled with technical karting detail that you'll start getting your fingers in a wonderfully satisfying tangle quickly. As an example, the boost functionality is no tap-and-go joint. It is a timed double-tap mechanic requiring precision and thought. You'll need absolute mastery of it if you want all the Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled trophies. The items you use are much better balanced than those in Mario Kart and often have much higher skill ceilings than that oft-mentioned Nintendo Easy mode. The tracks are really well put together a lot of the time and require a bit of muscle memory to get around effectively. Seriously, if you want arcade, stop off here first. It's as deep as a GT7 but with the beloved Crash Bandicoot at the helm. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. Thank you very much for following me this far and until next time, bye.